Alright, so we've got our first stage complete. What we might do is add that into our assembly before we go any further. So jumping over to our assembly, I'm going to now come in and insert. So I can then start adding the pieces in. And notice I've forgot to I updated the feature list, but I haven't updated the part. So I'm going to do that when we come back. I'm going to select him in there. And that's going to become the basis of where everything else goes. So let's just drop him in there and hit tick. What we want to do is we need to have these pieces all fixed in. And we can envision that later. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use what we call a mate. So that fasten mate. I'm going to choose the center of that piece. And then I'm going to connect that to the origin. And notice how the orientation of that little XYZ connector lines up. I can always reorientate them and sort of adjust them round if I need. But where it was in that first place was where I want it to be. So it's facing the right way, and I'm going to hit tick. So now he's locked in, everything else is still free, but I've got my first part ready to go. So I'm going to just finish off that. So that mirror is for the backing, and I'm going to rename that my backing as well. Okay, and fillet 1 is for the backing. Alright, so the more I can keep this organized, the easier my life will be. Alright, so the next one that we're going to be doing is we're going to add the little connector on the side over here. We're only going to make one, and then we're going to, in the assembly, duplicate that twice. So I could draw on one of these faces, but what I'm going to draw on is this face or that face there. So I'm going to go sketch, and I'm going to choose that face there. So I can then access those bits as we go. So the first one I want to do is I'm going to do a corner rectangle, and that's going to give me the connections for that face there. So by using the references that are already there, it means if I change that in the original one, it will update over here as well, which is really handy. The next thing I'm going to use is this use or project. And what that's going to do is I'm going to select on those two circles, which is then going to project that onto my sketch face over here, so that I've got my reference to where they are. So you can see those sitting there. So then that gives me a nice easy spot to be able to create the connections that I need for those two holes. So the next thing I want to be able to do is I'm going to add in half of this to be able to then again mirror it. So let's start by adding a line from the middle, and I'm going to bring that N normal 2 so I can see that through there. So I'm going to bring that from the center. Let's try that again. L from the center. My computer is a little bit slow at the moment, I apologize. So we're going to go up, let's go 15, let's go 18 up from there. Okay, so that's now fixed in for what I need. Then I'm going to bring him across this far, and I'm going to go over 25. Okay, I'm going to keep going with that line, and he's going to come down, and I should be able to get him lined up with that, and then bring that through nice and easily. Okay, so from there I'm going to add in my T-slot that I need. So I'm going to use, so that I can attach these perpendicular, I want to find the midpoint of that line, bring him up, because what I need is that's going to go to there. Distance that way is going to be 12. And I've already got the 3 there, so if I type that 3 in and hit enter, it's going to say you're over constrained. We've got too many things going on. So what I can do, the only thing I need to remove there is that one. because it was already locked in with the other details. So then that's happy now. I'm going to add my next one across, so from that center point, bring him through. So that needs to be 5.4 and 2.4. So now I have that set up. What I want to do is I'm going to add in my circle in the middle as well. So he's going to come through, and I want that to be 7. And I'm going to bring another circle on that rail there, and he's going to be 3. Okay, and that wants to be 16.5 away from here. Divided by 2. So we can actually get it to do some calculations for us as well. So you can see it automatically worked that out for us. So we got the dimensions there, that's looking good. Because what we're going to do from here is we want to be able to, we can rotate and add those around using a feature later, but that is pretty much where we need the starting point of what we're doing here. So I'm going to bring in, and I'm going to start mirroring some stuff, because we need to have a connection for the top piece, and we need the exact opposite on the other side over here. So I'm going to hit, I'm going to do one rotate up here, which I'm going to use a circular pattern. And what I'm going to choose is that one. And you'll see it gives me the option of where I want that circle to be. So I'm going to start there, and I'm going to bring that back so it's just on a 90. And if we have a look at where are the other bits, so times 3, I want that to be times 2. So now I've just got 2 there, and that is ready to go. So now if I extrude that, I'm going to pick the pieces that I want, and I'm going to make sure this is a new one. So notice that there's some things that I have selected that I need to deselect. So the cutouts and that side there. Oh, let's try that again. Don't need that one. And if you need to hide other pieces, that's okay. So that now almost, that little piece there, that looks good. 3 millimeters. And I'm going to hit tick on that. So now it doesn't quite look much yet, but what we're going to do now is we're going to use that mirror again. So if I mirror this piece, and I'm going to do this twice, because what I need to do is I'm going to mirror it this way, and I'm going to go add to that. So now that's part way there, and then I'm going to mirror that to get the rest of the other half as well. So now it was the simplest way that I could put this together without adding more detail than I need to. The mirror plane will be that, and so it's already chosen the right feature for me. I'm going to hit tick. So now what I have is I've got my side piece that will allow me to connect the backing and my front together. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that in place in the assembly once I've updated the names here. So that there is my side, the extrude is the side, mirror side 1/4, mirror side 1/2. Okay, and then let's rename him down there. So now I've got my two pieces so far. He's sitting in place, so you can see a bolt can go through there with the nut in place in between there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back over to my assembly and I'm going to add those in. So I'm going to go insert, and then I'm going to add two sides, one there and a second one, and then hit tick. So now I've got those in place. What I need to do is I need to mate that in place in that slot. So I'm going to use my fasten mate again. Now I find using the edge the nicest way to go about it. So as long as you can add your mate connector in the same orientation as the other one. So notice I picked that side and he's sitting in the wrong spot. So I can remove that. I want him actually in line with that bottom side, which then will pull him down that way, snap him in place. Now if I tick this one, it gives me the option of doing another fasten mate instead of just hitting this tick one, which will close it all. So just a little bit quicker as we go. So it doesn't matter which face or side I use. I could use that face there, as long as I find the corresponding face in here. So that has been going. Check that I'm happy with that, and I'm going to hit tick. So now that is looking good. What I'd like to do next is I'm going to get one of these guys in place on the side, ready for a lever later too. So I'm going to go my fasten mate again. I'm going to use this face here. So I want the center of that there. So if I hold there and then go shift, I then want to get the center of that there. Okay, so now I've got the center point of that one, and I want that to be lined up with the center point of that one. Okay, so then we have a look. Now that was the whole reason of me putting those extra little circles on there, so that they would have somewhere to fit whichever way we orientate it, so that we can keep these neat and out of the way, because we don't want them poking the wrong way and it'll make it hard for us later. So I'm happy with how that's set up, and I'm going to hit tick. And if you want to, we can pull him down so he's in the right spot as well. But now that is stage 1 complete, and stage 2 is complete as well. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create our top plate next. So let's go through and get that started now.